Well, hello there. Do you know it's Tuesday? And that means it's time for Take Home Tuesday. You know, around here we just sit and read magazines, watch TV, eat some bonbons, watch our soap operas. Just teasing, that's not even close to what we do around here. And you all know that just by watching us. But today we are coming from you from once again upstairs in our retreat center. And today it is nice and quiet up here. It is one of the few days that we aren't having people up here, so we do not have a live studio audience. But we are coming to you with a very, I think, simple project, a great way to maybe use some of your strip scraps, okay? So what we're working on today is actually just using, and I made two different little ones, great ideas for like a little coaster using braids and fabric. So if you can braid, you can make this project. If you can't braid, well, then maybe you'll have to learn, but you could probably come up with something different. So let's talk about this. We all have scraps laying around, lots of strips from the ends of fabrics, or when we cut off the edge of a quilt, we might have a strip there to use. So what are some different ideas that you have, maybe besides making a strippy quilt out of them? So I happen to just have a few strips of quilt laying around. One way that we've used it here at Hen Chicks Studio, if you've noticed, and I believe this is about 10 years old, isn't it, Heidi?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is just scrap braid, and we've used it and tied it around our scissors. So we always can find our scissors, because do you ever lose your scissors or think, where did I put them? Great way to use some scrap fabric that way. We've also used them on our scrap strips on our curtains up here. If you haven't been up here, when you visit the store next time, maybe stop by and take a look and peek at them. But let's use it for something like making a little coaster or a mug rug. You can make it bigger for a table topper or a plant to put on it. If you make it even, this one's a little bit smaller, but you can make it a little even smaller this and use it as a little embellishment, like maybe on a jean jacket, layer it, or even on top of a different project that you're making. So different ideas, very simple to use with this. And of course, you may have other ideas, so please feel free to share with us. You may notice I'm sitting on the couch. A lot of times in the evening, sometimes it's nice to have a little handiwork that you could do while you're watching the football game or your favorite show on TV. So I have my strips prepared. I'm not sitting on the couch watching football or anything right now because we have too much to do around here. But that's okay. So I've taken width of my fabric and cut them into 2-inch strips. Now these happen to be 2-inch strips. On this little one, I used 1/2-inch strips, or 1-inch strips, excuse me, 1-inch strips on this one. So you can see by the wider strip I use, the wider the end product is going to be. So on this, I simply come in here. I'm going to cut off my salvage edges, which on that one I've done already. I used my Stripology XL ruler, just laid it down and cut my 2 inches, but you can use any ruler to use that. And then I'm coming out to watch TV. So I have my strip of fabric. If I wanted to make it larger, I could sew strips together. I could variate the fabric colors. I could put lots of different ways to do it. I'm using 3 different colors. Before I start, I just kind of did a little pleat here. And on my sewing machine, if I was in my sewing room, I might just put a little stay stitch right in here and cheat and then just leave my needle down and braid it right there. But I'm not at my sewing machine, so I'm going to use my handy dandy wool mat and just tuck those together. Probably would put that stay stitch before I came out to my favorite show. And then I'm going to just sit and I'm going to braid. If I can get that to stay in there. I'm just going to start braiding my fabric strips. Now, one thing I will say, as you're braiding this, I like to try to keep the print so it kind of wraps around versus, and I don't know if Heidi is my camera girl today, if she could see this. If I wrap it around like this, I start to get the back of the print. See, if I start going like that, I like to try to keep it. So I'm kind of making sure I give it a little twist each time to keep the print on the top. And now we know as we do this that it's not going to be perfect, and that's exactly why we're using this. So use some scraps and to create something from fun from it. Okay, so I would just keep braiding it all the way till I get down to the bottom. See how I'm folding it as I'm going through, just to kind of try to keep the print on the top. Now you could use any fabrics at all. They can have prints, it could be solids, it can be batiks, it can be anything that you would desire. You could make it all blues. I think it can be cool if you're making a larger one to start with a solid color and then work your way out and add colors of different ones, kind of a varied tone. So you get the idea. Easy to do while I'm sitting on the couch, just watching TV or talking, which I seem to be really good at. So just going to go that way. See, like that one, look, I wasn't paying attention. What happened? So I won't come back and straighten it out. If it happened though, it's going to be okay. All right, so get the idea of what we're doing there. Now again, I could use it for, I can make it small right now and tie it off, sew it together and put my keys on it, put my key ring on it, or something like that as well. So lots of ways that you can use strips of fabric. That'd be actually a really cute little handle for a key ring, so you wouldn't lose them, right, Heidi?
That's exactly right. I'm always misplacing things.
Yes, so we have that done. So now let me show you, if I can find where, here it is. Hold on. I've started one to show you what I've done here. So then after I've gotten this to the point, I'm going to come in and I'm going to actually just do a stay stitch here in the middle. So a zigzag stitch to start my project. I've done that on the other one. And this is going to be a little tricky for you to think because you're reversed right now. So let me actually come around this way. Let's do it this way. So let's pretend that this is my sewing machine needle right here. Okay. So here's where I've done my little stay stitch. I'm going to wrap around this way and do a zigzag to catch that right there. Make sense what I'm saying, everyone? Okay. I'm going to wrap and give a little zigzag there to start it. Okay. Then from there, now I can bring this after I've got my zigzags. Now my needle is going here, and I'm going to go back and forth between, the needle is going to zigzag back and forth. Zigzag, zigzag. I'm going to turn a little bit more. Zigzag, zigzag. Okay? It's making sense so far? Now I want to make sure I'm bringing my braid over the top of my sewing machine needle. So there's my needle. I'm bringing my braid over the top so I can see visually where I'm wrapping it. Okay? And if I would happen to miss a spot, you know what? No big deal. I can go back and add that zigzag in there later. So we're starting to make that coil now, and I realize that's not sewn down. Okay, so there's that coil. So now I'm going to bring in the one that we've already started, where you can see we've made the coil and we're starting the wrap. So zigzags, see how we've gone around it? And I'm just catching each layer. So keeping it close, so I'm spinning it in a counterclockwise direction. Okay, and so then I would just keep going, zigzag, 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 until I get all the way to the end. Now, one thing I will tell you, I'll walk back this way, is sometimes as I'm even doing it here, you can see it might start to roll up a little bit, okay? And that's okay. Let me just get it this way. So we'd zigzag, 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 keep going around. And if it starts to roll up a little bit, not a big deal at all, because when you get done with it, you just walk over to your iron and give it a nice heat press, and then it lays flat, okay? So here you can see if I kept going with it, what it would look like. You can also vary a little bit by the size of how tight you braid it and such, but as we start getting those zigzags, it gets laying down. The other thing is when you get to the end. So when I come to the end here,
Can I help hold?
Yep, hold on. I'll put this down there. So when
Sometimes you need an extra arm.
And when you have your needle on your sewing machine, because this would all be braided before I got to my sewing machine, but I want to show you what to do at the end. So when I get to the end, and it just so happens I have 3 different lengths here. So on the longest length, let's see if I make the braid the right way. I'm gonna fold my longest length over the shorter ones, okay? And if I wanna choose to, I can trim it, or I just folded it back up. And then when I bring it in here, zigzag, 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 all the way to the point of the one that's folded over. Make sense? You could trim it, of course, if you didn't want it that far. So then, now I'd have that spiral zigzag. Some of you have made it with rope before, or with batting, where you've wrapped it around the batting. A little bit maybe quicker, easier way to do it. So that is one that we have finished, or semi-finished there. And there you can see that I would call that the back side, because you can see I didn't keep it as much with the pattern on the front. But either way would be really cute. So easy way, I think the little ones are cute actually. I like the little strips better. But do you see how you could sew strips together and come up with some fun little coasters, coffee mug rugs, put a little candle on it. Great for the holidays, or to use up your scraps, give something different. But of course, we love to hear your ideas. And look, it's even staying now, Heidi.
It is.
So, an idea that maybe you can use and use some of those scraps up. Like I said, that was just 3 strips of fabric, the width of the fabric at 2 inches to make about this size one. And you all have at least that much of scrap fabric, I'm quite certain of. So let us see if you make something or make it bigger. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm gonna go home and make one that's a little bit bigger. You could also make it oblong just by starting, instead of the coil round, by starting it at the beginning. If I wanted to make it oblong, I just start it like this. So I'd start it this way and then start wrapping it around, which this one isn't braided, so I know I'm not showing it very well. But then that would make it oblong, so it wouldn't be circular. Okay, make sense? Yeah, thumbs up on that, anyone? Yeah, okay, well, hopefully today it gives you a little inspiration to maybe go find some of those scraps, dig them out, do something fun and creative for yourself or for somebody else, because it always feels kind of good to give somebody else a little something special, and let them know you're thinking of them. So until next Tuesday, and I'll tell you what, we already have next Tuesday's project already made, and it's a cute one, so you won't want to miss that one either. Until then, have fun, be creative, and remember, choose happy.